Your boy's been working for the last 6 hours and I am exhausted. Let's get this snapping because I got to be clear and ready to go tomorrow. But I want to talk about the next month's price action, how we're going to finish out with May and how I see it. I see the runs playing out based on what I'm about to show you, which is going to be fractal sequences and timing cycles and also the options chain. So really quick, I don't know if anyone's ever really talked about this before, but it seems kind of obvious. It seems like the sequences run in series of like the multiple three. So it could be 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, etc. Let me just take this for example, right? Beginning of any fractal sequence would look to be like a gap up of some sort, or like, you know, the first burst on the January run. It's just an easier and clearer way to measure it because it stands out visually. So real quick, just like if we were to take this from here, just right to the, you know, top of the sequence, and just measure it. And then you get the bottom of this next sequence, which is the gap down. And then you could take the same range, you know, in between peaks of the next sequence, which is like to the day, right? So the way I was messing around with it before, it looks like depending on where the fractal sequence starts, it doesn't end at the climax, even though you can take measurements in between the two, and it usually works out that way also, just because I'm not exactly sure how the math is when it's running the algo, but I like taking it afterwards, like after the climax, to the next point where the selling volume is the highest. That to me looks more reliable if you're going to measure the sequences that way. Because let me show you. I'll do this here. But let me just show you real quick where that would be. So here we have January run, June run, and then you have that selling volume right here where it climaxes, right, to push it back down on the same day. But that's not where I want to take the measurement from. I want to take it to the next selling climax volume level top, which is here. So that's your sequence. Okay? Now, put that sequence next, and you get the next top. Now, like that's a really quick and sped up sequence. The way I've been measuring it has been, again, with the multiples of three, so like a 3 day cycle, 6 day cycle. Let me show you what like a 6 day cycle will look like next, so it makes a little bit more sense, because it's more accurate when you're looking at it on the, you know, larger time frames like the 2 hour, 3 hour, etc. Use this 6 day window to kind of calculate where the next run is going to be, right? Because if you look at the top of each June mini run that we have, I mean, the next 6 day window is basically a point of interest of some sort. So like in here, the 6 day window, after you get your June run here, 6 day window was the next bigger June run, right? And then you take it from there, and then you got the top of this fractal, Jan run, June run. And then we move it over again, right? And there's the end of your sequence, okay? And then we move it over again. And each thing is going to be an important, significant thing. Jan run, June run. It lines up perfectly. But you have to also look at the midline as well. That can be an indicator of an important moment in the fractal, because they can expand it and shrink it, etc., that we've spoken about. You know, it could be either one of these. It could be the 3 day window, it could be the 6 day window, but it follows so accurately, it's like stupid. Like, look at this. Jan run, June run, Jan run, June run, Jan run, June run, right? Look how stupid this is. Finishes the sequence here, right? And then we measure it from here. And then your midpoint starts the Jan run, right? Move it over. And then your top is the June run. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just keep doing it over and over again. And there's your bottom of the sequence again. And then here's Jan, June again. Let's use the move that we just had, right, to 6, because that would be technically the June run, even though it was a lot smaller. Right, here's the bottom. Midpoint is where the fractal started. Jan run. June run. Right? And then we go from here. Right? One day over, because the fractal needs one day to start. And this is where my my thesis comes into play. So these are the time windows. Again, you want to measure them 3 days, 6 days, 9 days, whatever. But you can use it with 90% accuracy, like basically within a 1 business day window, to figure out when the next move is going to happen. Now, the next move, you need to figure out if it's going to be Jan run, June run, and it's going to top, or it's going to be the bottom of the sequence, right? So you have to dig a level deeper. This can help you with the timing, but you have to look at the options chain to see what's actually going on. So we have an idea now, based on the cycles, that the next run, like we're going to bottom right soon, but the next run, wherever it is going to be right here by Tuesday or Wednesday this week, right? So remember, we're running this fractal over and over again within itself in shrinking iterations. So let's just take the bars pattern, keep it clean, right? So you have like kind of an idea of where this is going, and that's it, guys. Right? And this is your run at the end of the month. So looking at the time, let's look at the timing cycles really quick. And I'm going to look at timing cycle, and then I'm going to look at the options chain to confirm if that cycle makes more sense to go up and down when we get to that window of time. Okay? So right now, this window of time would be Tuesday. Okay? But let's take it over again, because we know the week ends on the 12th, right? So the 12th is, mark it. And I'm looking at it on the 1 hour. So like if you look, 12 is like multiple, like this is the window of the 12th. Like it's a pretty big window. Let's just put it at the end. The end. So it's the end of day, right? So you have this basically falling into the end of the day. Use the fractal as a visual guide. So, right, so you have your 6-day cycle right here going on. So here's your midpoint, and let's measure it over. Right into the 12th. Right? So that's where I want to see the retracement if this fractal is actually following suit and it's matching the POIs in the right way. And we can look at the option chain to kind of confirm. Now, let me pull this up. We have an idea, right? We have an idea that we want this to be at that 520 level by this Friday, okay? So if that's the case, okay, let's look at the option chain for the 12th. Here are our strikes. Your 6th strike, okay? On the call side, 17,000 open interest. That's not going to end up in the money by the end of the week, okay? So this week, right? And you could see also the open interest below it. It's another, whatever it is, 20,000 almost, right? This week, they don't want any of these open interest contracts to fall in the money. So they're going to keep it below 6, okay? And we want it to go down to that 520 level by Friday. So here's your 5.5, 5.5 strikes, right? On the call side, it's not that much, right? But on the put side, there's a lot of open interest, right? It works both ways, both on the call side and the put side. This is the whole point of max pain. This is why they'll pin it in between the heaviest open interest on the call side and the heaviest open interest on the put side, because they don't want it to go either up to this strike, which is the 6th strike, or down to this strike, which is the 4th strike, okay? So they want to put it somewhere in between here. So like, just like eyeballing it, it looks like 5.5 is where they're going to keep it by Friday. So if you look at this really quick too, if they're going to keep it below, maybe those $5 strikes end up in the money. I don't think they're going to be able to push it below $5 this week. It's probably more likely that they keep it in that 520 area. But I mean, timing wise and option chain wise, like this move lines up very, very nicely. Now let's look at the S&P that we're currently in. You know, we're nearing overbought territory here on the RSI. I'm looking at the 1 hour, but we had a monster gap up, just ripping faces off on Friday. Do I expect a little retracement here? Yeah, maybe a tiny bit retracement. Like we're looking at this on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is the micro time frame, so it's a lot smaller. So, I mean, this is the fractal I believe we're currently running. It just fits nicely again for visual representation, but we're at a point here where we're about to be overextended. Okay. I told you guys on Friday that all the way up to 414 is where I had it because that's the next largest volume shelf. That's going to provide the most resistance in the supply level right here, right? And this red line goes all the way back. Like this supply level has been not breached for some time. So it's a strong supply level. I don't expect us to breach it again. So if we go do anything up to this Wednesday or Tuesday, whatever, I don't know the exact timing of what it's going to be. This, wherever this is, if we get to that 414 range, maybe it peaks above it, 415, whatever, that's where you want to load up on puts, right? Because that is also where AMC's top is going to be, right? So that's why I have this here as the next top. It looks like, to me, like it looks like it's going to be a double top of some sort. And this top was, what do we have? It was like roughly 611. But this top is probably not going to breach that, right? Like this is a POI, right? But I would bet that they run it, by Tuesday. Look at the date at the bottom, right? By Tuesday or Wednesday with SPY, they top at the same time. And then you get to fulfill this downward price action into that 520 range, and the option chain gets cooked by Friday, okay? So that's move one, okay? That's the first move I want to see. I want to see another fake out double top here, Tuesday and Wednesday. I want to see SPY top at the same exact time. And remember here too, right before we would top, look what comes out narrative-wise, CPI. I don't think it's going to be hot, but it could come in maybe flat, and the market could say, oh, we were expecting it to be down more, and it wasn't really down that much. Or inflation wasn't down that much, and then you get your justification narrative-wise for this move downward. And then I want to see us begin our descent into that 404 range again for the last time before we blast the 422 and fake an absolute bull run. This is where you're going to get your $8 AMC price target. Now, both of these line up to be the end of May, which is basically May 30th or 31st. But more importantly, it's before June 1st. At the end of every month, a new sequence starts with the algorithm. Things change. The OPEX, dates come into play heavily. Dealers change their positioning and things like that. End of months are where things move. So I believe that they're going to run it before June 1st. So let's go to move number 2. Now, once SPY tops in that 414 area and we start to get this retrace back, fulfill this fractal, whatever, I want to see a big time bear trap before we make this run to 422. What would a bear trap be? It would be, let me just get rid of this because it's just visually an eyesore. A bear trap would be below this demand level, right? Here's your demand level, 404. Oh yeah, I want bear trap, I want down to here. I want to see 402 by OPEX, okay? I want to see 402 by OPEX. Now, let's go back to AMC's chart. Now, I need to make this clear. While AMC and SPY have looked to top at the end of their fractal sequence on the biggest move that AMC has. So when I say that, I mean the move to 8. That's when you see SPY top as well, okay? These little moves in here, though, all these little micro moves, like this shit, right? This shit. AMC doesn't have to top on one of these moves. It can, but it doesn't have to. So we can't assume that it's going to on every single one of them, right? So SPY tells more of a clear story here of like where it's going because of this demand level and because of where the RSI is and the price action, the volume levels. When SPY makes its move back down to here, right? Remember, in this fractal that I'm spotting, just like what we talked about on the POI video last week, all of these are POIs. This is AMC Jan June. This is AMC Jan June. This is AMC Jan June. AMC Jan June. You understand? So AMC can make a run on any one of these while SPY is getting its ass kicked. Like if you guys just noticed, behavior-wise, what just happened? SPY did this whole stupid thing, and AMC went like this the whole time, right to 611, right? The thing didn't stop, right? Ignored everything SPY was doing, drew a literal straight line right up. So we're going to assume that this behavior is going to continue while SPY gyrates back and forth like a madman, right? So when we get to the end of the week, okay, and if I'm right about this and the options chain, and they fake a run on Tuesday and Wednesday this week, right? And then the thing bottoms by roughly Friday, right, in that 520 range. That sets it up for a fake, blast to $8 that will fulfill this fractal so neatly, okay? This is also, timing-wise, like what we talked about in between Jan and June, exactly where we want to be. So look, this is the bottom of the fractal. This is the start of the new fractal. This is the top, right? The blow-off top. This is the June run. So taking it from here to here, again with the timing sequence, this would be your fake top on Tuesday. This would be your bottom on Friday. Okay? And then we have another big move coming. Okay? This is your run to 650. This happens OPEX week up to roughly Wednesday, May 17th, maybe May 18th at the latest. Now, let's look at the options chain and confirm. Okay? May 19th, OPEX week. This thing is loaded to the gills. 46,000, 13,000, 103, 65. Right? All of this stuff in here is delta hedging in some way by dealers. We just don't know the direction unless you're actually looking at the options chain as it's coming in, which I can't go over that right now. But let's just look at it with some common sense. Now, say we fulfill, right, our move on the timing sequence, and that week of OPEX up to Wednesday, you get your 650, okay? So say we're at 650 by Wednesday, okay, May 17th. Let's look at the chain, and you tell me, we're here, we're at 650, right? If we stay here and close there on OPEX, what's going to happen? These are going to end up in the money. Not happening, okay? So where can they knock it down to blow these out? Right here. Right there. Right? 5.5. Take it from 650 to maybe 580. Whatever. These 5.5s end up in the money. Whatever. Not a big deal. But these 5s, 46,000, those are most likely going to end up in the money. And that is what's going to send us to 8 in the following 2 weeks afterwards. Okay? So I want you to look on the put side really quick as well. Where are those puts at? Huge puts, 65,000. They don't want these to end up in the money. They don't want AMC to be below $5, right? They don't want to pay those out. So you can estimate, like, we're going to end up most likely at this 5.5 level. If they take us to 6.5 up to Wednesday, they could smash it right down into Friday. 6.5 to 5.5 is, it's like, I'll measure it for you. So say we're at 6.5. 6.5 to 5.5. It's a 15% move. Like, it's nothing. It's nothing. AMC goes to 6.5. It can do it intraday and then immediately pull back, call it whatever, 5% in the day, and you're already right there. Like, you're already right there. All you need is another down 8% into the next 2 days, if that. Say we're, let's take it from here where we're at now. So we're at 550, okay? This is when I'm expecting our run to 8 to happen, okay? And now let's go back to SPY. Let's see if it makes sense. Okay, so this is basically, you'd be at 550 somewhere down here, right, on AMC. SPY would bottom first, AMC would bottom second, right, in tandem fashion. And you'd be like right here, date wise, like Wednesday, Monday, May 23rd, 24th. And then SPY would just make its absolute monster run like this, explode to 422. You get your bull trap there. And that's where I want to see AMC make its move on its fractal, right? So we come back here and we're at 550 in this region, whatever, Monday, Tuesday, the 22nd. That's where we load. And then we get our blow off top leading into the right before June 1st, which is like a Wednesday or Tuesday, which is May 30th and 31st. And let's look at AMC's chain on those dates. What do you guys see? There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here at all. That's when they're running it. That's when they're running it. Okay? So, this is my thesis. Trying to nail it down in the micro. If you guys have questions, ask, please. But it's basically, and I'll do the timing cycle again for you so you guys can understand. Right? Here's your midpoint. Blow off top. This is probably going to be the highest sell point of volume here. That's why this timing sequence is ending here. And then you get your bottom here. Again. And then we move it over again. And you have your midpoint, June. And then you move it over one more time and you get your midpoint, and that's the top. So, again, 3 and 6 day cycles. The option chain looks good. This is how I want to see us make our move. I'll be reusing this this week, price action wise, but guys, everything looks amazing. It looks amazing. You know, if we get any retraces to 520 or 550, just load on, you know, not financial advice, but I'll be loading, you know, January, whatever it is. I'm sorry, January. I'll be loading like June 9th calls, right? At 5.5 or whatever. And it's easy from there. So if you have any questions, guys, ask me. Appreciate it. And I'll see you in the chat.